and because we have a special cooperation between Barcelona and UNESCO to make it, to champion culture and science, and especially today and these coming days, ocean science. Here by the Mediterranean, we know that the big blue should obsess us, because the ocean is suffocating, and we have everyday numbers, for instance, of the temperature that show that we are breaking very negative records every day. We know the catastrophic consequences in terms of coral bleaching or melting of the sea ice. We know what's happening to biodiversity, as each additional degree could double the number of species exposed to dangerous climate conditions. And we know, for instance, at UNESCO, how much the cultural heritage of this world, the sites of UNESCO World Heritage List, are threatened by rising sea levels. Of the 330 cities in our list, almost a third are coastal. And a third of more than 250 natural World Heritage sites are at risk. In 2021, many of you will recall that this emergency led the United Nations to launch the Ocean Science Decade, which at UNESCO we are proud to lead with our Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission. 3 years on now, we're gathering in Barcelona to take stock, to see what we have done well and what we could do better. Since 2021, a lot has been achieved. More than 500 initiatives have been launched in around 60 countries by our partners, by thousands of scientists, students, and citizens, because this decade is a movement, and it has created a dynamic that I must say went already far beyond the expectations. And this with 3 goals in mind: understanding, educating, and protecting. Understanding. Our first priority is to support scientific and oceanographic research, especially in fields where knowledge is most lacking, starting with the ocean depths. One figure is particularly revealing. Currently, less than 30 people have dived to the deepest part of the ocean, but hundreds have crossed the Kármán line between the Earth and the outer space. We need to better understand these depths, and that's why we have stepped up our effort to map the ocean floor. In the past 3 years, important milestones have been reached, and today we have high-resolution maps for 35% of the ocean floor, compared to 6% in 2017. We have also recently taken steps to better understand the polar seas, which was the attention of a summit recently in France. It is, for instance, the aim of Antarctica in Sync, an emblematic program that received the Ocean Decade label last November, bringing together 38 national research teams. It studies the interactions between glaciers, the ocean, and the environment. And in total, thanks to the decade, already thousands of data and knowledge have already been generated on ocean acidification, oxygenation, rising sea levels, biodiversity, and bathymetry. Thanks in particular to your contributions, to the contributions of our excellent networks around the world, including increasing cooperation with US agencies since the country returned to UNESCO last summer. But collecting more data is not enough. We must also make them open, accessible to the widest possible audience, especially scientific networks. This is, for instance, the goal of UNESCO's Ocean Biodiversity Information System, an online encyclopedia which observations have increased thanks to the decade. And we will be also launching this week, on the occasion of this Barcelona Week, a new program for the decade for sustainable ocean planning. It aims to translate the recommendation of scientists into public policies, for instance, by building on marine ecosystem mapping to help states protect and manage better marine areas and their biodiversities. So to know better, but also to educate, we must continue to advance understanding and awareness of the ocean, of its beauty, fragility, and the artists play a great role in that. But we also need to support ocean literacy, ocean education, and we have a long way to go in this field. A UNESCO study showed in 2021 that less than 1 in 2 schools' curricula mention ocean protection around the world. But so that's why we stepped up our effort to support member states to add environmental and ocean education to their curricula and rethink teacher training accordingly. We've been working with 100 member states recently in this goal. We've also trained 200,000 people, youth, but also adults on ocean education, and I would like to thank as well our partners on that, and especially Prada, which supports our ocean education initiative in 56 countries around the world. So, data collection, expertise, education, and the third goal, of course, is the protection of the ocean. It's our third priority, protecting our 240 island and coastal biosphere reserves in 82 countries, as well as our 50 marine World Heritage sites, from Glacier Bays in the United States to Ogasawara Islands in Japan. Because even in these 50 zones cover less than 1% of the ocean, they protect 21% of the world's blue carbon ecosystem, with kelp forests, mangroves, or salt meadows that absorb carbon. They're home to incredible biodiversity, but they're threatened by overfishing, pollution, or over-tourism. So we need to continue our efforts to effectively protect these areas, because they have to be protected in practice, not just in theory, while it is too often the case. We must also commit to better managing these areas and to focus on the long term and implement every legally protected area. This also means closely involving coastal population who are on the front line of marine ecosystem degradation, and this is at the heart of our new initiatives launching as well this week in favor of Africa and small island developing states. And I would like to thank Ireland, which has supported UNESCO in implementing our program in several Caribbean small island developing states so far. These states, as we know, are on the front line of climate disruption, and they are a priority group for UNESCO. And the 4th International Conference on SIDS, to be held in Antigua and Barbuda this May, will be an opportunity for UNESCO to further support them. So, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we have crucial objectives in front of us. Much has been accomplished for the ocean, but there is still so much that remains to be done and that can be done. And for that, we need to continue to invest in science. We must continue to educate and raise awareness. We must continue this international cooperation. We know that it's very difficult at a time of crisis, wars, and fragmentation of the international community, but if there is one thing that can unite us and should unite us, is the ocean. We will meet next year at the UN Ocean Conference in Nice, led by the government of France and Costa Rica, and we have to continue to mobilize so that we can still have pictures like this behind me. I know that you're all wondering where this paradise is. It could be in many places. It could be the Seychelles, but it's in a French Polynesia in Tahiti. So thank you very much. And here in Barcelona, continue to dialogue, invest, and further research on the ocean. I thank you for your attention. Gracias.